News present an hour of truth for the battered but proud people of the Empire State. From the financial and entertainment epicenter of New York City to the sleeping and empty small cities and towns of upstate, which once bustled with manufacturing, mining, and farming. We all know from inspiration, history, and nature, we deserve a return to the success and growth of generations past, a birthright being squandered by corruption in Albany, and the depredations of an insecure, scheming mountebank posing as governor, who loathes both us and himself. As liberty beckoned to enslaved peoples behind the Iron Curtain via American broadcasts after World War II, we now say, believe, rise, and join us. Welcome to Radio Free New York.
Hey guys, welcome to Radio Free New York. I'm your host, Andrew Hollister. We're here in the WYSL studio, and I've got Bob Savage here with me.
The prodigal son has returned from wherever it was you were.
Cape Cod.
Cape Cod, right.
Cod. Yep. It was pretty cool. Weather was a bit chilly. We got like I would call it a storm, but it's not. It's just there's so much wind coming off the ocean that it just felt like it was raining, but it was just spray, I guess. So I'm back, and we have a special guest here in the studio. We have Judge Rosenbaum here with us.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. That was quite an impressive opening, actually.
Yeah, well, thank you.
We try not to mince words.
Kind of powerful.
We like people to know where we stand.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Clear cut and straight to the choice. So one of the things that's really cool, you walked in the studio and you handed me a Vote Libertarian pin, which is just really awesome. And you said you've had this for how long?
Since 1980.
1980.
Actually, since Reagan got elected, I do collect political memorabilia, and was out and about, and another collector handed that to me. I've had it for almost 40 years. I thought I'd pass it on.
Wow, that's awesome. Very, very cool. Well, thank you so much for that. I will definitely hold it. I've got a special place for it. I know exactly where it's going to go. It's going to go next to my my Larry Sharp pin from last year.
Those were heady times, 1980. I was there.
Hey, listen, you guys got running around 100,000 votes last year in the gubernatorial election. That was very impressive.
Thank you. It was a lot of hard work. We're glad to get people out, and hoping to keep getting more people out. So speaking of elections, you're currently elected to New York State Supreme Court, and sounds like you're running again, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
That's what's happening.
I got appointed, actually, when Justice Wisner resigned back in 2005, and was appointed by Governor Pataki, and then ran for the full term that year and won. And since that time, I have become the supervising judge, first ever, of all the civil courts in the 7th Judicial District, which is an 8-county area, well over 1 million people. And I consider it an honor every day to represent this part of the state.
That's awesome.
Now, how does that relate to Craig Doran? Are you kind of like under him?
Doran, Euro trash. He's my boss. He is. Craig and I have been friends forever. For about 30 years, we've been friends, a little bit more, actually. And he is the administrative judge. So he's the judge who supervises all the judges.
He's the big boss.
He's the big guy, exactly. And I work with him, handling all the civil components. But Craig is a fabulous administrative judge, and I don't have to say that because we've been friends since before we were lawyers.
There you go. Now let me ask you, because he's not running for election, so does his position come up in a different time?
Yes, he was a county court judge, and then in 2015, he ran for Supreme Court and was elected, and so he doesn't have to run for another 14 years. So 2029 is when he'll be up.
All right.
Yeah, 14-year term. I think I was saying to you off the air, Andrew, that it's the second longest term, as I know it, in the country. Alaska has a 15-year term for their Superior Court judges.
Yeah, so how many other Supreme Court justices are there total? Is it just 3? Or
No. It's a little over a dozen because we cover an 8-county area, and because there's so much litigation, civil, matrimonial, criminal, the dockets have grown exponentially over the years. So I don't remember the last time they added on an extra judge, but it was some time ago. But we all have healthy dockets that we handle. I handle, as I said, I'm the supervising judge of civil. I handle a civil docket, but I'm also the judge in charge of all the commercial business courts and also medical malpractice. I'm the number 2 guy in the state, deputy for handling all the med mal. I handle exclusively med mal in this area, along with the commercial courts.
Okay.
So, Judge, how is that set up? I mean, you have all this jurisdictionally. Is it geographic? Is there kind of like a circuit court kind of thing that happens where you wind up trying cases in, let's say, Penn Yan, or how's that work?
So it's a great question. Well, as Supreme Court judges, we have statewide jurisdiction. So we can actually hear cases anywhere in the state. And there have been times where I've been asked to hear a case in Utica, in Albany, in the Bronx. I'm a big fan of Have Gavel Will Travel. We have these 8 counties, and what we ask our other judges to do is to pick 3 counties in which they'd like to serve. And so I've got Livingston, which is where we are right now. I'm in Cayuga and Steuben. Those are my other 3. However, if someone needs somebody to pinch hit, things come up, we certainly help one another out. So you pretty much do ride the circuit as needed in an 8-county area. We're talking Cayuga, Wayne, Seneca, Ontario, Monroe, Livingston, Yates, and Steuben.
Yeah, yeah. So where do you live?
I live in Rochester. I was born and raised in Penfield, and I now live in Brighton with my wife and 4 kids.
Okay. So potentially a long drive to work some days then, if you're doing some of the
Can
more
be, but you know what? There's nothing like living in Western New York.
Yeah,
it's some of the prettiest driving you can do.
Absolutely.
I was just down in Steuben at a dinner last week, and my law clerk came with me, and just the leaves, the area, the people, the farms. It's a great area to live.
Yeah, yeah. No, it is. It's pretty. It's a beautiful place. Just driving through on my way back from Cape Cod, the scenery was just awesome.
You don't realize it either until you lived somewhere else. Like, for example, I lived in outside of Detroit on the Canadian side in Windsor. I've lived in Minneapolis. I've lived in Philadelphia. And you get out to the far west, like Minneapolis, you just miss hills. I know it sounds like a crazy thing to say, but you all of a sudden you realize there's something missing.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yep. So you're running for re-election. Are there term limits?
No, there are no term limits in the sense of you could run until you hit 70. Okay. 70, you are termed out, and then you can do what's called certificating. You get up to 3 2-year terms, and then you're completely gone at 76. So I ran when I was 41, which was one of the younger judges that has ever run. Now I'm 55. I could run. I'll just be shy of 69. I could run for and get elected for about a year and a half. That's something I'm not planning on doing.
Sure.
And you want people to handle full terms. So this is likely my last one, but you never know.
Okay. All right. Very cool. And we are streaming here live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. So if you guys do have any questions or comments, feel free to comment in. You can always call in the studio, 585-346-3000. I see Chase has a message on Facebook. She wants to know what your party affiliation is.
So I'm a registered Republican. I will be running tomorrow on the Republican, Conservative, Libertarian, Independence, and Sam Party lines. As you know, this year, first year for the Libertarian Party here, and as a result, it is selected by a committee, a mini convention, so to speak. You don't have to carry petitions and run a primary, that type of thing. So as Andrew knows, I have long coveted the Libertarian line as one of the lines I would run on. I am a constitutional conservative, or like to think that I am, and I just think I have a lot of the beliefs that the Libertarian Party has.
Yeah, and I would, in our discussions, I would absolutely agree with that. So,
thank you.
Definitely glad to have you. What's a day look like for you?
Okay, so I'm assuming when I get to work.
Yeah,
we won't talk about any of this stuff before. Okay, just checking.
Too much information.
That's right. So I actually try to get to work between 7 and 8 in the morning. The day doesn't start till 9 officially, but I have a healthy docket of just shy of 500 cases, and am at any given time either hearing a motion, specific issue on a case, mediating a case to try to resolve it, preparing for trial, writing decisions, reviewing the law, and talking to my other, as I call them, my other civils, the other civil judges on what their schedule is and what assistance they might need. And then working, of course, with the administration to make sure everything's humming along and checking in with Judge Doran.
All right. Very cool.
So you check with him on a daily basis?
Pretty close. Again, we've been friends for a long time. And, we are at each other's christenings, brisses, everything in between, and see each other very regularly. So, yeah, we're pretty close to daily.
Very cool.
And that extends to working together, too.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, guys, you're listening to Radio Free New York. We're going to take a brief break here, and we'll be back in a moment.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
A reminder from a
Coming back.
American bikers aim toward education. Distracted driving is dangerous, so pull over and eat. Don't try to read your...
Coming back.
Stay off your cell phone. Make a mental note to be more alert, making it a habit to expect.
Coming back.
Remember to look twice. Save a life. Train yourself to watch for motorcycles which are harder to see. Join a bait, and your family will be protected with a free $4,000 accident policy. Ride safe. Ride free. Ride often. A bait. If you ride with us. Google a bait, Monroe County.
You're listening to Radio Free New York on the WYSL stations.
All right, we are back here on Radio Free New York. I'm your host, Andrew Hollister. We have Judge Rosenbaum here in studio with us. Thank you so much for being here.
I think he has a first name. It's Matthew.
It is.
Matthew Rosenbaum.
Right. My mother got me that name.
That's
a nice one.
Do you prefer Judge, Justice, or what do you...
When we are truly, I will tell you, when I'm out in the street and people start calling me Judge and everything, unless you're in the four corners of the courthourthouse, I'm Matt. Okay. It really doesn't bother me at all. But if you're calling me Judge is fine.
Judge? Okay.
Yeah, up to whatever.
Your Excellency? Or
Eminence. I think Eminence.
Your Grace?
Yeah, that's it's good to know. Is there like a proper etiquette for the courtroom that people should know when they go in? I guess that's something I never thought of, before, but I
remember from my days in courtrooms, there's a lot of etiquette you got to think about.
Yeah.
Well, and it depends on the judge. Okay. There are judges who used to not acknowledge you if you weren't wearing a white shirt. You'd have a tie and you'd have a blue shirt or a yellow shirt or, whatever. And they would just not even acknowledge you. You had to have a white shirt.
Really?
For me, I ask for you to wear formal clothing in the sense of a suit and tie or sports coat and tie or a business suit for a woman or dress or whatever they want to wear. But so long as it's, proper decorum, no hats on in the courtroom, that type of thing. Oh, my gosh.
No, it's interesting.
This is like Fred Gwynn and My Cousin Vinny. Well, you come in here tomorrow. I want
you wearing a suit made of cloth.
Like that. That's right. No, sir.
So over the break, we were talking about a program you put together, the PACE program.
So in 2010, a good friend of mine is a physician, and she was sued in a medical malpractice matter. Ultimately, it was dismissed against her, but it had a really detrimental effect on her for some time. And because we were friends while she was in the suit, I couldn't talk to her about anything. Mm-hmm. And we belonged to the same synagogue, and she would come in and I would just turn around and walk away because I just had to be totally sanitized from the issue. Mm-hmm. And she would burst into tears because she felt like she'd lost a friend and all these things. And ultimately, I think she understood why I had to do what I did. However, in speaking with her, I began to realize there's a lot of miscommunication and gaps of understanding between lawyers and what they do and doctors what they do. So in 2011, we founded the PACE program, Physicians and Attorneys Cooperative Education Program. It is a series of programs that educates lawyers and doctors on things that help them to better understand each profession. It also affords them, if they come to these events, continuing legal education, which is a requirement in New York State for lawyers, and continuing medical education, which is a requirement for doctors in New York State. And as a result, when we first had our first few, they were somewhat sparsely attended. The last few we've had, and we've been doing it since 2011, they have been standing room only. They typically run over. The attorneys and the doctors really engage with one another. And I think because of that, there's more of a collegial feeling and better understanding between the parties. And I think that makes just for a better society. So we're very, very proud of that. I've been asked to go statewide and see if we can bring this to other jurisdictions to see if there's an interest in them having their own PACE programs.
Oh, no, that's great. So if I understand it, you know, the doctors and the attorneys, they get together and the attorneys kind of teach the doctors a little bit about how law works, and the doctors teach the attorneys a little bit how medicine works. So when they're in the courtroom, they can communicate better. And
well, that's one aspect of it, absolutely. But even before they get to the courtroom, what we will typically do is, turns out doctors are big fans of role playing. And so we will take a specific instance, an issue, and we will have a doctor call the general counsel of the hospital and say, we just had a bad outcome on a case. This is what happened. And the general counsel then explains, you know, what he does. The plaintiff's attorney then comes up and says, this is what we do gleaning this information, and this is how we talk to doctors about this issue, and this is how we talk to lawyers about this issue. Ultimately, there are gaps, and they realize, oh, this is what you meant by what you did. And that can be very helpful to both sides, both avoiding litigation and, of course, in moving litigation forward more effectively.
Okay, awesome. So do you envision that'll lead to clear malpractice suits or less of them, or
well, was originally the goal was resolution. Okay. And we initially did see a dip. It started to level off, and we just keep monitoring those numbers. We've had unique seminars, one that was entitled I'm Sorry, because doctors are generally taught not to say I'm sorry because they're worried about being exposed to a malpractice matter. But it really is it's a great program, and we find it very enjoyable and, most importantly, effective.
Yeah. No, that's really awesome. Very cool. I see that you also are involved in Little League.
Well, you know what? This was my last year. I got off this year, but I've been doing it since 2000. Okay. I have 4 kids. Yeah. 3 of the 4 played, and the last one timed out about a year or 2 ago, and I stayed on the board from there. But yeah, I coached, and I also was on the board and helped them rewrite their bylaws and all that other.
What are their ages, your kids?
So I've got a 26-year-old who is a veteran of the Israeli army, actually. He served in a tank unit, was a sharpshooter.
God bless him.
And he fought in the war in Gaza in 2014, and unfortunately, was fairly badly injured towards the end of that. Had several operations since then, and he's in great condition now. He's a happy kid, and he's studying international relations.
Is he in the States or in Israel?
He's still in Israel. In fact, while he was convalescing, he taught himself Mandarin and then took it and then won a scholarship and spent last year in Taiwan.
He's a Renaissance man.
That's right. He's a great kid. So he's 26. I have a daughter who's 24. She's getting her master's in speech pathology. And then I have a daughter who's 21 at Binghamton. She's a psychology major. And then the youngster is 16 and staying true to his baseball roots. He tells me that within 4 years, I actually could become his agent. So I'm excited about that.
He's playing for the Nationals, no doubt.
Yeah, right. That's the team right now. That's for sure.
Very cool. So, one of the things that I think is really important is for the listeners to know how important judges are, especially for like New York State Supreme Court. I feel like, and we talked about this a little before the show, that people look at judicial races, and because of judicial ethics, you can't really talk a lot of meat and potatoes on the issue. And because of that, people maybe perceive them as a boring race. They're not paying attention as much. There's not the evil, bad attack ads going on, So I think sometimes people don't pay as much attention as they should. So I guess I want to ask you what you think the most important thing is about the position, and then follow up would be, what do you think makes a good judge?
So it's a great question, and it's a question we're asked quite a bit. A fair and impartial judge is really the cornerstone of our society. You don't want to have someone who has all these preconceived opinions and then shows that they fully formulated them and they're going to always use that in any case. You want to have a judge who is going to listen to both sides and understand the uniqueness of every case that comes before her or him, and then ultimately can render an honest and fair opinion. That being said, we're human beings. And, there are certain things that occur to us, and we have to do our best to push those aside and understand that every case is unique, and it truly is. In terms of the political component, I usually tell people that Supreme Court judges are kind of like cicadas. Every 14 years, we emerge and drive everybody crazy for
Make a lot of noise.
9-month period. Exactly. And then we go back in the ground. You don't hear from us again for 14 years. So, it is an extremely important part of our government. You're talking about one of the three branches, the judicial, legislative, and executive, and the checks and balances that goes with each one. But, this country was basically founded because people were being persecuted by the crown, who was the judge and jury, and the legislative branch, and the executive branch. We came here to have our individual freedoms, and that is really what I would hope people ultimately understand what a judge is and what she or he should do.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Very good. So anything else? We've got a couple more minutes here, and I know you've got to work still, so you're not just getting paid. Yep, you're working. Is there anything that you want to share that maybe we didn't touch on that you want the voters to know about, besides the fact, hey guys, tomorrow's election day, make sure you go out and vote if you didn't already?
Well, I would like you to know that first and foremost, I really do love my job. I wouldn't be running for re-election if I didn't love it. The people I work with are fantastic, experienced, knowledgeable, and it's a great group to work with. I have a staff. I have a law clerk for my general civil, who is my permanent law clerk. I have a law clerk for the commercial component because it is so involved and complex. I've been doing that now for 9 years, and I think it's critical that you have an experienced judge handling these matters that are not small matters, and truly there aren't any small matters in a person who's a litigant's mind, but these are cases that can go upwards into the millions, and you really need to know the law. And so I'm blessed to have been able to do that for the last 9 years, for the last 8 years handling the medical malpractice, which knowing the science is extremely important to be able to navigate through that component as well. So I guess I really ultimately want everyone to know how much I enjoy being a judge, how much I appreciated the support of the public in 2005. Hope I get it in 2019, and look forward to seeing how I do on the libertarian line.
Yeah, me too. I know we were talking about that. I'm excited to see what those numbers look like. Just as you were talking about this, you had mentioned the medical malpractice and civil. Does medical malpractice ever switch to criminal, and then would it move to a different judge if that happens?
Well, absolutely. First of all, taking the second part, if there was ever a criminal matter, it would have to go to a judge who is handling criminal. I shouldn't say it would have to, because there have been times I've been asked to step in and handle criminal matters. I've handled trials when needed in that vein. But you would, because it's a separate issue from the same thing, you would want to have another judge hear that case.
Yeah, awesome. All right, guys, that's Judge Rosenbaum running for New York State Supreme Court. And guys, get out and vote tomorrow. Tomorrow's Election Day. We'll be back in a moment on Radio Free New York.
Listening to the voice of liberty.
WYSL.
AM 1040 Avon, Rochester, FM 92.1 Rochester, FM 95.5 Spencerport, and WYSL1040.com everywhere.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to Simple Tech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that Simple Tech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at Simple Tech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at Simple Tech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
Avon Gun and Hunting Supply, a locally owned and operated gun shop specializing in pre-owned firearms and repairs. Get your rifle, shotgun, or pistol serviced and tuned before you take it to the field. Open daily. Avon Gun, East Main Street, between the Bank of Castile and Charlotte's Web of Odds and Ends.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau.
Last spot.
Them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
Radio Free New York on WYSL. AM 1040, FM 92.1, and FM 95.5 West.
All right, I am back here on Radio Free New York. Your host, Andrew Hollister. Judge Rosenbaum has exited the
Left the building. He's got to go do some judging now.
Yep. He's got to go to work. So for those of you who are joining us here on Radio Free New York, we just had Judge Rosenbaum on the show, who's running for New York State Supreme Court.
He's available on 16 lines, is it?
Something? I think so. It's pretty lengthy here. He's got a fair number of endorsements too, like the Locust Club, the Sheriff's Office Association, firefighters, airport firefighters, teacher association. So, he's definitely got quite the resume. Absolutely. And of course, endorsed by the Libertarian Party. So that's the
well, there you go.
Right there.
And his first time on the Libertarian line, right?
Yes. Yep. But he's been carrying around this Vote Libertarian pin for quite some time here. So this is what he handed me when he walked in.
Very cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So that is
a collector of political memorabilia.
Yeah, that's what he was saying.
And ephemera, or I guess is the other word.
Yeah. So I want to welcome everybody who's here on the live stream. I see a couple of people have commented in. Thank you guys for listening. Make sure if you haven't already, you guys hop over to the YouTube channel. If you go to youtube.com, type in Andrew C. Hollister, hit subscribe. When you click subscribe, you'll get the bell. Click on the bell so you get notified. This weekend, Saturday at 7 p.m., there's going to be a libertarian presidential debate in Olean. So I will be live streaming that. It's 2 hours long, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. So if you want to get notified when that goes live, make sure you head over to YouTube and click on that. That'll be important. Otherwise, you might not see it till later.
Now, who's debating? Is it just libertarians among themselves, or is it?
Yeah, so they're debating for the presidential nomination. Very similar to you see the Democrats right now are having quite the debate, among themselves. If you haven't seen a libertarian debate, it's very different. It's I don't even know how to explain it. When people watch it, they go, wow, these people seem like they get along, and
there's respect.
Yeah,
there's no name calling.
Yeah, well, and there's certainly things that they disagree on. But if I'm listening to one, somebody almost every time they're walking by, hey, what you listening to? Because people sound like maybe they make sense, so it's interesting. So I highly recommend you guys check it out. I'll be there personally. I'll be doing the live stream. It's happening in Olean, so if you're within driving distance of Olean and you want to check it out, I highly recommend it. It's going to be a good time. So, speaking of good times, we're going to talk about something that's not a good time. Okay. We're going to take a complete 180 here.
Let's dig right in.
And talk about Governor Cuomo and his new Make America Safer campaign. Have you heard about this?
No.
Oh, man.
I've got the creepy feeling. It's now whenever somebody approaches me with an idea from Andy, I get this. The hair starts to stand up on the back of my neck. I start to think, oh boy, first of all, it's going to be really stupid. And secondly of all, it's going to cost me money.
Sure. Absolutely. So the first thing that anybody who hears Cuomo use the term safe with, the first thing you can know is it has nothing to do with your safety whatsoever. And chances are it will make you less safe. And this is exactly what's happening.
Well, first of all, it's obviously a swipe at the president. So immediately,
So it hints at a national campaign.
This has some kind of a, nakedly political agenda.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So the Make America Safer campaign is Cuomo essentially trying to take the gun agenda that he's passed here in New York State and turn it into a national platform.
Exactly.
So it's an issue. I mean, so the first thing he's doing, he's pushing the red flag laws like really, really hard.
Sure, because that's an easy sell because people don't understand it.
Exactly. And I'm sad to say that I see gun owners, conservatives, Republicans, people on that side of the aisle also saying, oh yeah, maybe that sounds like a good idea. And it's like, no. Like,
well, I would invite them to check the track record of red flag laws as passed thus to date.
Yeah.
And the track record is awful.
Yeah. No, it's abysmal. It's bad. And it certainly doesn't make anything safer. So that's the first piece of it. Cuomo's been touring New York State to start with. And he's been kind of like going to teachers and other people that can, use what they call the extreme risk protection orders or red flag laws. And he's teaching them how to file them. He's teaching them, this is how you report somebody. This is how, you fill out the paperwork. This is what you do, so this is kind of his seed planting, if you will, on this issue. And now they've made a brand new website. They press released this. They live streamed it. They brought in one of the parents from Sandy Hook. They paraded everybody around, as you might expect. They have now launched a new website to make it even easier to take away people's guns.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And of course, they've told us, I don't know, untold millions of times, nobody's coming for your guns. What are you, paranoid?
Yeah, yeah. And then Beto came around and told everybody what they were really thinking.
Oh, yes. Robert Francis O'Rourke dropped out of the race. Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Bye.
Yeah, yeah. And what's interesting to me about him dropping out of the race, I know this is a little bit of a segue, but we'll come back to the Make America Safer campaign. Beto dropping out of the race, I think, is a really, really important thing. I know conservatives especially, they look at this and say, hey, the damage was already done. And that damage is that that he was trying to be so far left that normalized the other radicals in the party.
I mean, when he said on the debate stage, hell yeah, I'm coming for your AK-47, because of course we all walk around with Kalashnikovs.
Yeah.
All of us gun guys do that all the time,
Yeah, it's just,
and that's when the liquor store gets held up, it's usually by a legal gun owner, pulling along his Kalashnikov. Give me a break. Hell yeah, I'm going to take your AR-15. That worked really well for Beto now, didn't it?
Yep. So that's where I see the positivity out of this, because people, I think, sometimes forget that Beto wasn't marketing to conservatives. He wasn't marketing to libertarians. He wasn't even really marketing to centrists. He was marketing to the Democratic base, right? To primary. And he was rejected even by the Democrats, right? He wasn't fundraising. He wasn't, staying relevant enough. So that type of rhetoric not only did not resound with American conservatives, which we already knew, with libertarians, which we already knew, but it didn't even resound with the Democrats. Right. They didn't sign on either. So that's like something I think people get really nervous about, but I'm like, no, this is a good thing. Like this is showing that Democrats and progressives, they push for gun control. A lot of times I think the people that go to the polls who are voting, they're not voting because they want to see confiscation. They're voting because they're worried about safety, because that's the fear mongering that is constantly pushed by the media, by the politicians. But when the messaging went from safety to confiscation, they couldn't swallow it.
And also, it needs to be pointed out here, I just have to throw this footnote in. There is no correlation anywhere between gun control and reduced crime.
No, there's none.
Doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen. Absolutely.
Tends to be the opposite.
Yeah. No, I agree. But that's the messaging that they crafted.
Yeah, the whole thing about the messaging on that side of the aisle, and this is an example of it, is that it's a lie.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So for me, it was an extremely hopeful moment to see that when you call it what it is, which is confiscation. Mandatory buyback is like a softer term, but that is confiscation.
And even that's a lie. The government never owned the guns.
Yes.
So they're not buying them back.
Yeah, there's no
they were
buying
always
them
your
back.
guns.
Yeah, it's compensated confiscation is maybe a slightly more correct term.
Kind of like gun eminent domain, but without any future public benefit, like you would get out of an eminent domain project like building a tunnel.
Yeah, government taking away your private property, maybe they compensate you for it. Clearly not
a little.
With what it's worth. I mean, somebody actually sent me, and I should go look for it. They sent me a breakdown of estimated ownership of like AKs, AR-15s, and similar styled rifles, then matched the numbers to the estimated value. It was like $22 trillion or something like that. They're like, this is basically what the national debt is. You can't afford to do this. But anyways, can I bring
that's because they're going to give you $5 per gun.
Yeah, exactly. They could never come close. And if you look at local gun buybacks, it's the same thing. It's like, oh, you got a pistol, here's a $25 Wegmans gift card.
Right, exactly. I think that's pretty much what it is, isn't it? I like for Project Exile.
Yeah, it's I've checked out a few of them, and usually there's like a kind of like a rubric, right? So I think a shotgun is going to be like $10 or $25. A rifle is going to be around that range. A pistol might be $50 or something like that. And then if you have an assault rifle, air quotes for those who are, listening to the radio.
Yeah, whatever an assault rifle is.
That is, yeah, whatever, if you put, something scary looking on it, I guess, they'll give you like a $75 gift card. And it's a Wegmans gift card usually, so they can go buy groceries, and that's...
And if you know where I can get AR-15s for $75, please give us a call right now.
Well, I think what you got to do is you got to go to the gun buyback. Walk through the line.
Oh my gosh!
Wegmans
Don't even suggest
cards.
it. Can you imagine there's a back door where people are going, "Hey, buddy, that 1911. I'll give you $15 for it."
So
my gosh!
What I did the first time I heard about these buybacks was actually when Eric Schneiderman was. What was he? He was Attorney General. Yeah, Attorney General. Yep. And he came to Rochester to do this, and he's got all these guns out and everything. Look at all these guns that we've bought back, and they were used in illegal crimes and this and that. Because there's legal crimes, but they talk like that for whatever reason. And so I asked him, and he didn't realize he was on camera when he was asked this. I asked where the guns came from, because he had said they came from the neighborhood they were in. And he said, all these guns were taken in New York City. I think he said like during a drug bust or something like that. I'm like, well, you just said they were taken from the neighborhood.
How did they get here, Eric?
Yeah, and so they had this whole stand that they would parade around the state with, drag it around, tell people these guns came out of the neighborhood, sawed-off shotguns.
Once again, more lies from the left.
Yeah. No, it was terrible. But they were really upset because we brought an FFL along and offered to buy guns from people for what they were worth, and they were upset.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. Yep. All right, guys, we're going to take a real quick break here on Radio Free New York. When we come back, we're going to talk about the outline of Cuomo's Make America Safer campaign. Teaser for you. None of it's good. None of it. We'll be back on Radio Free New York.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
Fiorella, a family-owned farm-to-table Italian restaurant with casual atmosphere at the newly renovated Rochester Public Market. Fiorella offers wood-fired, old-world-style pizza with naturally leavened dough, house-made fresh pasta, desserts, and gelato. Enjoy craft beers, imported Italian and New York State wines. Open Wednesday through Saturday for lunch and dinner. Wednesday evenings enjoy no corkage fee. And Thursday is gnocchi night. Call 434-5705 for reservations. View the menu on the web. restaurantfiorella.com.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to
Last spot.
Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that Simple Tech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at Simple Tech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at Simple Tech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
You're listening to Radio Free New York on the WYSL stations.
All right, we are back here on Radio Free New York. We're talking about Cuomo's Make America Anything But Safer campaign. I mean, wait, Make America Safer campaign. That's what it is.
Details.
Yeah,
it's a Cuomo plan, so you know it's lame.
Yeah, it's not good. So the one thing I want to start this off with is a statement that I've heard probably throughout most of my life, actually, even when I wasn't involved with politics. I didn't quite know what it meant at the time. And that is, as New York does, so follows the nation, or something along those lines, Or
at least they would like to hope.
Yeah. And so it's this premise, this thought, this idea that if New York State implements something, the nation within 5 to 10 years will follow suit. And I just have to say, we need to make sure that doesn't happen with this, because the United States of America will look definitely not like the United States of America if this happens. Some of the stuff in here is like goofy stuff that we already know has already been taken care of, but this is all for political, I don't want to say grandstanding, because they're actually trying to push this agenda through. The one thing that I still don't quite get is why Cuomo's trying to remain relevant. Like, he is trying so hard to stay in the news constantly.
Because everything he does blows up in his lap.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, look at the Buffalo Billion, and I still can't get over the concept of the solar panel factory in Buffalo, New York. So if Cuomo wants to go national, we'll probably have a company that makes prefab ice skating rinks in Laredo, Texas. And, I'm trying to think of another example of something that's like ridiculously geographically inappropriate.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's like the Jamaican bobsled, a team that went to the Olympics. They did that movie, Cool Runnings, about them. It's like a joke. So we're going to make the solar panels where the palm trees sway on Lake Erie.
Yeah. No, I don't get it, but maybe that's it. Maybe he's just got so much bad press that he has to constantly be generating new press to drown out the bad press. I'm not sure, but I see him constantly trying to be the forefront in the news cycle, constantly. But he's not running for president. The gubernatorial election isn't for a few more years. So what is he doing? I don't know. He's just, maybe he's just a narcissist and needs to be front and center.
Now we're getting somewhere.
I don't know. It could be.
I think that's a distinct possibility. And, and then he's being helped so much by his brother, the CNN commentator.
Sure. Yeah. They're getting along just fine. So let's talk about the content here that we've got in this Make America Safer campaign. What you can do, you can go, if you Google NewYork.gov red flag gun protection law. They have this fancy website here for you that says how to prepare and file an extreme risk protection order application. You click the link, it takes you to the New York State courts website where they show you line by line instructions on exactly how to fill out these red flag laws. These essentially firearm confiscation actions with no due process. I mean, this is essentially what the New York State and the courts are showing you how to do, which is just a really sad place for any state to be in the United States.
I mean, it's Soviet style. It really is. I mean, this sounds like rhetoric, but it's really not. I mean, this is how it used to happen in Eastern Europe all over the place. There's a knock on the door, and you're supposed to give up something. In this case, it's a firearm that is legally owned and operated by you in most cases. And in Eastern Europe, it was you hand over that teenage kid who's been putting up anti-government posters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, because we're going to ship them off to the gulag. It's the same idea. And you don't want to set the precedent for this kind of thing in terms of due process and our civil rights, because you think they're going to stop with guns?
Yeah, guns are just the first thing. I mean, that's step one, because you can get people behind that, and the left is behind that. There's no question about it. But you look at this, this idea that it's okay to take away due process, because there might possibly maybe be something going on. The thing that people don't talk about is that every single one of these guns impacted by this law are all legal guns owned by law-abiding citizens, because you're not calling in red flags on a criminal. Like they would just go take them and arrest them for whatever their crimes are.
First of all, the criminals wouldn't care. They'll just go out to Cuba Place or Avenue D and get another handgun for $25.
Yep.
Well, they care. Guns are like office supplies to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's the first piece. The first piece of this Make America Safer campaign is bringing on more red flag law legislation, the same type that New York has, but making it a federal platform. The other thing is the SAFE Act. The SAFE Act is a piece of this. They want to make the SAFE Act a part of a federal platform as well. Now, we have spent shows talking about the SAFE Act, and I could spend days and days more talking about the SAFE Act. In fact, Monday, we're going to have Steve Filano from 2AWNYN talking about their progress fighting the SAFE Act. So you guys are very familiar with it. If not, definitely hop on my YouTube channel, check it out. There's, I'm sure, countless episodes of us discussing it. Not just that, they want to create a mental health database to prevent what they call dangerously mentally ill people from purchasing a firearm. Now, this piece is really important because they put this in here to get conservatives on board. They put this in here to get Republicans on board. They put this in here because nobody wants somebody who's mentally ill or on psychotropic drugs to shoot a place up. So they slipped this in there, just like they slipped in the we'll make it a bigger crime if you shoot a first responder.
So, knowing what I know about the process of buying a firearm, how likely is it, Andrew, that we are going to be allowing medically unfit people who have emotional problems or whatever, how are they going to get a firearm legally?
Legally?
They're not.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. I've been in... I can't say I've been in every gun shop in Western New York, but man, it's pretty close, And I've been to gun shops in Atlanta, in Georgia, Tennessee, all over. And you know what I've noticed from every single one of them? If they think something's up, they won't sell you a gun.
Right. You're acting weird.
You just look wrong or something. You know what?
There's the door. I'm not selling you a gun today.
Yeah.
And this is the way they're all run, folks. Mm-hmm. They are all. I don't know anybody in an FFL who would just I got to sell this gun today.
Yeah,
I got to make my quota. I got to sell as many guns as I can.
Yeah, I've never seen it, not once, and not once. So it's
ridiculous.
In the way New York State implemented this mental health database was abysmal, wrong, terrible. They were reporting people to NICS who never had any diagnoses. It's just a complete mess.
Yeah, people who've they've had some. Well, we know the landmark cases. The ex-military and the career law enforcement guy who moved from one part of the state to another part of the state and was having trouble sleeping. Mm-hmm. So he got prescribed Ambien. It was like the most prescribed drug in the universe. Mm-hmm. Lost his guns.
Yep. But that's just the thing. That's just another leg to confiscation. And if you were to have any sort of health requirements for a firearm, any at all, there should always be due process, and it should never be permanent. Never. If you're in a bad spot and you go, you know what, I want to check myself in, and I'm worried maybe I'm going to hurt myself. I want to hand somebody else my firearms. That is an amazing thing. You know why people aren't doing it? Is because they know when they hand them over,
and
they'll never see them ever again.
And the other problem is, even if you get those guns back, even if you're able to persuade the local police department to give them back, you're still on NICS.
Yeah.
So you'll never be able to buy anything else.
So a very simple fix to that would be letting people know, yeah, you know what? You get cleared by 2 doctors, you get your rights back. Plain and simple. Last piece on here, guys, and then we're going to wrap it up, is the same thing, comes back every time: universal background checks. As if we haven't had the NICS system since the 1990s.
Yeah, we've already got universal background checks, folks.
Yeah, we've had it for a long time. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me here on Radio Free New York. I will catch you guys on Friday.
Hey, vote tomorrow, folks. Everybody get out there and vote. I mean, just once.